and welcome to this episode of EMSNOW Up Close. It's my great pleasure today to speak again with Rainer Koppitz, the CEO and co-founder of the KATEK Group. KATEK, of course, is the, I think, currently third largest EMS company in Europe and the second largest in Germany. And we'll get into that. And they have some news that we'd like to touch on with Rainer as well. Rainer, welcome. Thank you to see you again. Always a pleasure. Let me begin. Obviously, the big elephant in the room in Europe these days is the Ukrainian situation and you know the tragedy that continues out there. I just want to give you a chance to say any comments you wish to make about that and the impact it's having on Europe and the industry.
Yeah. I mean, Eric, thanks for inviting me again. It's always a pleasure. And you're just, you know, coming to the point. The conflict in the Ukraine, the war there. I mean, it's really a big tragedy, and we have many Ukrainian and also Russian employees in our factories. So I mean, it's in the middle also of the German, the European society here. And we also, of course, you know, we feel the impact, you know, every day in our business. Of course, as many Ukrainians and Russians, I mean, they have completely different thoughts in their mind right now. And some of them go back into their home country in order to fight or take care of their family. That's very important and more important than business, of course. But I mean, on the other side, what we feel is that despite that the capacities of, let me say, component factories are becoming, you know, bigger and bigger. So everybody, including myself, was expecting a little bit of a relief in the component shortage. I mean, what we see now in the combination of the Ukrainian war and all the lockdowns in China is, of course, that, I mean, it's, you know, a lot of uncertainty again in the entire value chain. And for us, it's a big surprise every week again, which kind of components will arrive to our factories and which ones will not arrive. And this is causing, I mean, a lot of problems right now. So crisis management, you know, isn't still over.
Yeah, no, well said. Now let's shift to your company. And actually, I noted in one of the press releases that KATEK in this past year had 30% growth, and that, but the comment there too was it would have been 10% more if it weren't for the component situation that you were talking about as well. So the pipeline is healthy, the business is growing, and it could be growing even better, it sounds like.
Absolutely. So the business, you know, was growing very strongly to more than 540 millions. This was a growth of 30%, of which 20% were inorganic, so the consolidation of newly acquired companies, and 10% was organic growth, so much stronger than the market. We again, you know, won a lot of market shares in the European market. But it could have been even stronger, meaning we have now very strong backlog and full order books. And of course, I mean, we need somehow to work on that and reduce that further, especially as still the book-to-bill ratio is at something like 1.25. So we have all the backlog and more and more, you know, order entry is coming in. This all in, you know, face of the shortage is a very difficult situation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. You know, I was just this morning looking at the history again, how you founded this company, and I believe it was 2019, and by consolidating several small ones, KATEK was the named one, and it continues to grow, and you continue to be quite active in growing through M&A. And your most recent announcement was that you're coming to North America, that you are I believe it's Sigma Point up in Canada, the announcement was. Tell us about that, you know, why Sigma Point and why North America?
Yeah. To understand this, I think you need to understand the M&A strategy, which we designed at the beginning of the KATEK journey at the beginning of 2019. I mean, the first stage of the M&A strategy was to gain size very quickly, in order to have the necessary purchasing power, and in order also to be, let me say, to be really a brand name in the eyes of the customers, so that they take you seriously. So this was the phase one of our M&A strategy. Then in the phase two, we acquired companies which, let me say, completed our coverage of the full electronics value chain, from the engineering, the prototyping, to the entire supply chain management, the electronics manufacturing, and the manufacturing of entire devices, and then also the logistics and the after-sales service. The second element of this second step of the M&A journey was to invest into, let me say, dedicated verticals, also with own systems and products, like in solar, like in the e-mobility, so the charging environment, and like in the telecare environment, in order to, you know, kind of participate in those strong growth markets. And now we are the third phase of our M&A growth strategy. And the third phase is wrapped around two major things. The first one is geographical expansion, and the second one is strategic outsourcing deals. And the deal you just mentioned with Sigma Point in Canada is, of course, a strategic move to go into other geographies. And it's not that because we want to serve Canadian or Northern American customers. Of course, this comes along automatically. But the main reason here is, of course, that as you rightly mentioned, number three in Europe, our European customers, they have the desire that we follow them also into other parts of the world and help them to be successful there. And so Sigma Point was let me say, a perfect candidate for this strategy, because Sigma Point in Northern America is, you know, a very, very important supplier to one of our major customers in Europe already, to one of our top 5 customers even. So for us, it's, I mean, both that we now have a very strong and interesting footprint in the Northern American market, but at the same time, we, I mean, further increased the share of wallet with a very important European customers. And there are several other European named customers. They are waiting, I mean, in order to also, I mean, give us orders for Northern America, as we are their trusted partner already here in Europe. So that's the reason for this acquisition, and there's more to follow. We are at the same time speaking to another US American company, for instance, which, I mean, could be which could be successful within, you know, the next couple of months maybe. As I said, the second part of this, you know, stage in the acquisition fact is of course the strategic outsourcing. As we see that this market now is taking off. It's taking off now because all of the companies doing electronics on their own, they see their limitations very clearly now, I mean, facing the supply chain crisis, because for them, with not a professional electronics purchasing department, you know, having the supply chain fully under control, they see that others which already have outsourced the electronics business are doing much, much better. So this is kind of an accelerator of the thought process in order to give the electronics part of the business out. And of course, I mean, we are taking, you know, full advantage of this. And we are in several discussions right now with very interesting customers and interesting segments in order to take over the electronics division. And normally those are projects, those are deals where we don't talk about single-digit million in euro, but it's, I mean, 30 to 50 to 60 million per year, which of course is, I mean, it's not inorganic growth in terms of, it's not M&A. It's more a normal sales process, but of course you need really to manage M&A processes in order to make such a deal work.
Yeah. So let me peel that back a little bit on two fronts. First of all, when you're doing the M&A as KATEK has, there's obviously challenges that come with the integration and the culture that you're creating within a company as you're integrating these various points. Speak to those challenges, because I'm very curious. You told me in a previous interview once that however large KATEK gets, your headquarters group will always stay small, right? You're not going to grow a big headquarters. So how's that working out? And speak to those challenges of kind of the culture and the integration as you acquire more companies.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key elements here is that you not only do a proper due diligence with regards to the numbers and the processes and the technologies and the production sides. You know, you have at least spent so much thoughts and time on the culture, especially of the management team. And I mean, how easy it will be to integrate those into a larger group. So this is a key part of our due diligence. So I mean, I'm asking my team members when we are in the middle of a process of such an M&A transaction, always, I mean, can you imagine for the next few years to work together with this team? Because I mean, we will work very closely together, and at some point of time, you will need to support them in order to you know, overcome some challenges. Then we will integrate them into some, you know, other teamwork. So can you imagine to work with those you know, ladies and guys? And if the answer is I'm not really sure, let's see, then it's maybe the wrong management team with the wrong culture. So that's the first one, proper due diligence also on the culture, on the team, on the management side. The second one is all the companies we are acquiring, they are successful because they have a very entrepreneurial management team. And entrepreneurial means they are able to take quick P&L based decisions. They are able to go, you know, into the fire every day, whether it's with suppliers or whether it is with their top customers. So they are not, you know, they're not, you know, in their offices I mean, just drinking coffee, and there's a secretary which you know, kind of make sure that nobody is disturbing them. They are all out in the fire. They are all out in the war. I mean, every day. And those you know, kind of managers, they don't feel comfortable in, you know, the culture of a big conglomerate. They want to act entrepreneurial also as part of the KATEK Group. And that's the reason why we say, of course, the group of people managing the group, I mean, of course, they are growing with our growth as well, but it will always be, let me just stop the call, sorry, it will always be a very small and limited amount of people, because if you have too many people in, I hate the wording headquarters, but if you have too many people on group level, I mean, they need to work all day, so they will invent processes, and they will invent, you know, workshops, and they will invent reports, etc., etc. The small group of people we have in our headquarters, I mean, they are so under fire every day. They don't have the time that, you know, just for the sake of, let me say, dealing with the entities, giving them some tasks which don't really add to our value add. So that's still our deep conviction that makes sense for a group like others to combine the advantages of small, really agile, entrepreneurial teams, close to the customers, close in their market, specialized on certain, you know, kind of items. Combine this with the strength of a large group, with the purchasing power, with a clear sales strategy, with the brand, and with the financial strength. And you know, I'm sure. I mean, we are now at 540. I'm quite sure we will go beyond the 600 this year. And I mean, this will last for the next 5 years at least.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense with it. I think you referred to it once before as your speedboats, how you see the acquisitions, right? They need to be nimble in their markets and be able to maneuver. So now the other piece that's related to this I want to ask about is the traditional focus from a customer seem always to be within Germany, especially the Mittelstand, right? Those sized companies. Does that remain the same, or is that changing as you're growing?
That's a very valid point. I mean, the majority of our customers today is the German Mittelstand, and as you know, Eric, German Mittelstand is not only companies with, let me say, 10 million euro of revenues or 100. I mean, there are Mittelstands companies that do 2 billion of revenue, which is still Mittelstand. But as we see with our size now, there are more and more really large corporations who want to make business with us. And of course, what we need to do is we need to adapt somehow to be able to also deal with those companies. I give you an example. If you deal with such a company, they want to make with you business in several regions of the world. So that's with regards to the geographical footprint. But also they expect that if they agree with you on certain, let me say, processes, quality standards, or even let me say, pricing models, that this is something which is then also valid, in all the other factories and locations you are working with them. So you need another, let me say, overlaying structure in order to properly serve those kind of customers, which of course needs to be done in a very, let me say, careful way in order not to destroy the agile structure and way of doing business that we have. So it needs to be kind of an overlay structure, like key account management for those kind of customers with global KPI reportings, etc., etc. But I mean, this will come now automatically because we are actively involved in more and more deals with such large customers, which need to be handled as group customers and not as customers from one of the entrepreneurial entities.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, I want to pivot here a bit because something that's always impressed me with you is your passion for this industry. You and I just want to probe on that a little bit to see. You like the game, so to speak, right? I think you're impassioned by the challenge of growing this and doing this. So is it the industry necessarily, or is it the business side, the kind of the growing of the entity that really kind of fires you and keeps you so engaged?
It's two things. The first one is, I'm really energized by our teams. Yesterday, for instance, I had from 8 a.m. into late evening, I had I had monthly reviews with all of our entities without any kind of break in between. Yeah. And normally, and if you are working for a big conglomerate, which I did in the past for Siemens and Dell and British Telecom, after such a day, you are dead. You are dead because it's so boring. It's always the kind of same discussions, etc. You have such great kind of managers sitting in front of you. After this day, I'm always fully energized because I have so many interesting ideas and discussions with with entrepreneurs. Of course, there are very challenges, problems, maybe bad numbers, liquidity problems, inventory is going up, etc., etc. But it's kind of such constructive, energized approach, in all of those meetings, that at the end of the day, and now I'm really happy. I'm opening a bottle of wine with my wife and saying that's exactly the place to be. So that's the first one. And the second one is that what is a key driver to me, I think we are really doing something totally different here in this industry. because it's not only the consolidation, it's really to find a new way of doing business in this, I mean, electronics area with a decent size, but at the same time, not 7 hierarchy levels, but I mean, people who are energized and who feel as entrepreneurs in their specific environment. And I mean, for me, that's also, you know, kind of a big experiment in order to really, I mean, how long can we do this? And now I'm extremely optimistic, and I want to prove that this is also doable for a company with more than 1 billion of turnover if you are doing it the right way, and if you are very carefully recruiting the right people who have a good fit to this kind of model. So those are the two, let me say, driving factors. And then the third one, which I know I'm overemphasizing a little bit, but I mean, I'm a deep believer in this. I think that really the European industry needs not only one KATEK, by the way, but maybe 5 or 6 or 7 KATEKs, so that they have stable partners in the electronics industry, that they also have a choice. So, and what I'm a little bit proud of is that with all the activities which we've been doing, you know, the last 3 years, I think really something happened there. And when I'm now discussing with, you know, also our, you know, competitors, I see that that more and more are conscious of the necessity that something is changing in the market, and that more and more are going into the same direction from the philosophy. And that's something which, of course, okay, it makes me a little bit proud as well.
No, as well it should, because you just mentioned it, 3 years is a short time, right? And the growth that you've accomplished and what you've been able to put together and continue to is quite impressive. So, so congratulations to you and Team Blue on that one. Listen, in interest of time, I want to wrap, but I do want to leave with a discussion or give you a chance to talk about, you're about to do, I believe it's the second Festival of Electronics, right? Within KATEK. I was able to listen and observe some of the first one, which was very impressive. Tell us about that, what's planned, and when is it, by the way?
It's now in May. It's in May. What I mean, the idea of this Festival of Electronics is we thought about doing some kind of you know, customer congress, customer you know, event. But you know, already last year we decided that it doesn't make sense to do it the usual way, meaning that we are, you know, talking about latest production technologies and you know, kind of PCB and I mean, whatever. Nobody is really interested in this. We decided to you know, take this one level up and really discuss about the industry, discuss about the latest trends, also in e-mobility, etc., having some interesting speakers, some nice get-together. And we also decided that there should be a really open approach. So we are also inviting not only customers, but also suppliers. We are also inviting you know, some of our competitors in order to do panel discussions, etc., because I think we need to stand together and we need to learn from each other. Nobody is perfect, but the team can be, and we see us as a part of the electronics team here in Europe, and that's why we opened the approach, and I'm sure you know, others will follow and will appreciate this approach.
Yeah. No, it was a good event last year. I know it was. Now, is this going to be all virtual as well this year?
It will be no. It will be really kind of a live event in Munich, in order to really you know, bring the people together. I think we all have the, let me say, deep desire to meet personal people, do a handshake, you know, have a drink together, discuss about the challenges in our industry right now. So we are doing this really as a live event this year.
Okay, good. And if people are interested, will there be a site that they can sign up, or is it by invitation only?
That's not yet finally decided, honestly speaking. Good. But I mean, we are just about to send all the invitations out and to plan the final details. But you know, I'm sure that we will find a way to let also participate the broader audience.
Good. Well, good. Well, I know it's Friday afternoon there for you, so I'm standing between you and more meetings and your weekend. So I want to say thank you. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. I think it's impressive what you're building over there. I look forward to watching it continue to grow in the years ahead. And hopefully later in the year, we can do another catch up.
Super. Thanks again for the invitation and the inspiring discussion, Eric.
Very good, Heine. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.